Before we get started, I just want to say a couple things. One is that in spite of all the challenges that this group has had over the past year, the one thing that hasn't changed is the dedication of the staff and of the board members. I don't think we missed a beat in terms of from a business standpoint. I mean, we just kept keeping on. In addition to that, Sam was telling me that every meeting that we had virtually was a quorum. So just because we couldn't meet in person, you know, the people were very much engaged and participated in all our activities. So I truly appreciate that. So why don't we go ahead and get started with some introductions. I know that we have some new people who are going to be joining this group. Is Lindsay here?
Yes,
Lindsay? Oh, hi, how are you? Hi.
Lindsay.
Lindsay's from High Point University.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you'd like to say a couple words of introduction.
Absolutely. My name is Lindsay Ayers. I am the Director of Community Partnerships at High Point University. I work in our Office of University Relations. So you may see me out and about. If anybody was at the Rocker game last night. Yeah, a few of you. And I'm just happy to be here. Thank you very much. I'll be representing HBU and looking forward to serving with you.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Fantastic. I think Brian Biggs, I don't know if is Brian on Zoom?
No, not currently. Okay.
No, okay, so Brian is representing the Realtors Commercial Alliance. So he'll be joining our group. Yeah, and then I think we also have Michael Halford, who is here, and you also brought a guest, I understand. Michael, you've been here before as part of the group. Is that correct?
Sure. Yeah. I got county manager for Guilford County.
Yeah, fantastic.
Jason is assistant county manager for Guilford. So,
excellent.
kind of spread the field here.
Excellent. Well, welcome to you both. And since we do have some new people, and it's been a while since we met, I thought maybe we spend a couple minutes just going around the room and give us a chance to introduce ourselves. So why don't we go ahead and get started? All right.
I'm Tony Clark. I'm president of Guilford Technical Community College. I've been here about 18 months, 4 months before COVID hit. So I'm glad to be back out and seeing everyone, get to learn everyone's names and faces. So glad to be here.
I'm Brent Christensen with GCEDA and the Greensboro Chamber of Commerce. It's nice to see that everybody still has legs and torsos. So that's good to know.
I'm Ken Smith. I'm a partner with Smith Leonard. I'm a past chairman of this fantastic group.
Oh, we need to go around there.
Kenny Westgard, I work with Sandy at the High Point EDC.
Mhm.
Owen Virtue, past chairman of the group. I'm here representing the used car dealers.
All right.
I'm Tom Conley with the High Point Market Authority. Ray Gibbs, forward High Point.
Randy McCaslin, interim city manager here in High Point. Scott Tilley, Truist Wealth. Maurice Hull, marketplace management.
I'm Beth Ernst, run communications for Axon Bell in North America.
Jim Morgan, past chair, going into my 53rd year as a lawyer on August 15th. I know you think I'm crazy now.
May 25th is my 52nd year.
Oh, man.
Well, I finally beat you on something.
Sounds like a race.
That's incredible.
I'm not sure that's one you want to beat.
And I'm Sandy Dunback, Director of High Point EDC, and I'm thrilled to be here and for you all to be here with us. And maybe we'll do the back of the room and the front of the room with some staff that's also with us, I think.
Brandon Cook, communications specialist.
And
Kind of background to me. Okay. Hi, I'm Sarah Stevenson with City of High Point.
Thank you all. Thank
and
you all.
then the Zooms. We're gonna do the Zooms.
Yeah, so we'll do this. We'll now move to the Zooms, starting with who we got?
I figured Melody.
Melody,
Burnett, visit High Point.
Welcome.
Dr. Peters.
You're on mute, Dr. Peters.
We got James.
James Upchurch. I represent District 6 on the Guilford County Board of Commissioners.
Thank you.
Latanya.
Yes, Latanya Bailey. I'm here in High Point. I'm an orthodontist who practices here in town on Old Plank Road.
Next, we got Eric.
Eric Omeno, Assistant City Manager. I'm trying to multitask while I'm listening to the meeting.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Britt?
Britt Moore, High Point City Council.
All right, I think that's it. right?
Yeah, I think
We're
that,
good.
I think that's everybody, and it's a great crowd, so thank you all.
It is. So I guess the first order of business is to go ahead and approve the minutes from the last meetings. Now, we didn't meet in April. We did meet in March and May, so we got 2 sets of minutes to approve. Just as a reminder, before we do that, is that we do not have a meeting in July. So the next meeting will be in August, okay? So I just want to be sure that I mentioned that before I forget. So why don't we go ahead and first ask for a motion to approve and second for the March minutes?
I know you've read them in depth.
I'm sure they had nothing better to do than to read these minutes. Yeah.
I thought it said April and May.
It's we didn't meet in April. It's supposed to be March and May.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a typo.
It's a typo, yes.
I believe she made a mistake.
This was a test. You passed. So can I have a motion, please? To accept the March minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Maurice. Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, so it's the same thing with May. May I have a motion to accept the May minutes? There, and two for two.
Yeah.
Perfect. Second, please.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Oh, you're not.
Very good. Well, thank you very much for that. So why don't I go ahead now and turn it over to Sandy, who's going to talk about numerous business matters.
Thank you so much, Carlos, I appreciate it. You want to just scroll down for me for a minute? Yeah, just a little bit further. That's your rest. We did want to just mention, so we had really great announcements since the 1st of January. Many of you, I'm sure, have seen a lot of this coverage, but just want to remind you as we work to welcome them. Pure Roast is the California coffee roasting company that located here from California. And we worked very closely with them. They came to us from EDC and located down on Market Center Drive. They leased about a 36,000 square foot building and invested more than $1.5 million. And as we worked with them, we had a number of conversations, and I've mentioned to them about their relocation from California to North Carolina. And they tell me, they say, oh no, we did not relocate, we escaped. Anyway, I said that is a great testimonial, and we hope to use that in the future. In addition, their families are here, they're buying homes, and I was able to take them to the soccer game, the NC Fusion soccer game. I guess it was 4 of the family and members of the company, and they were just amazed. They love the stadium. They love being able to come to the game. They met the mayor there at the stadium and got to have a conversation with Pete Fish. They have interest in having a cold brew at the stadium. So again, that opportunity to have a great connection for these companies. And I appreciate each and every one of you, in your conversations with them as you meet them, certainly sharing and welcoming them to the community. The next one that I want to mention, and it's the reason we didn't approve the minutes at the last meeting, was the DC blocks, the $305 million data center that we're so pleased to welcome to High Point. We did make a big splash because it's certainly a big project that we announced at our last EDC meeting. They are going also into North High Point, about a 14-acre tract off of Sheraton Court. We are thrilled. They also got an opportunity to go to the stadium and see everything that was going on there, and were extremely impressed, as well as got to have those conversations with the mayor and pledged to be just a strong High Point advocate and supporter of the community, and act globally, invest globally and act locally is what they intend to do. And Brian, if you can scroll to that next on through that as well. I wanted to share this with you. This is their website. And again, they pledge to support and be proud to be a High Point company. So if you see the tiles there, you know, High Point and our new data center with the photo that our marketing people at the city took and then enhanced it at some encouragement from EDC to color the grass down there where it's just brown dirt. But, you know, so it's like, okay, let's do that. But, you know, with cities like Atlanta and Birmingham, Chattanooga, Greenville, South Carolina, that we always compete against, and Huntsville, Alabama. So again, these type of companies, along with some of our long standings like Thomasville Buses and others, Ralph Lauren, you know, continue to put us on the map, and we're so proud of them being here. Okay. Let's see. And then another announcement that we had was the Patessa announcement. And again, this is an international company, private company, Brazilian owned, that had acquired Fiber Dynamics in South High Point over on West Point Avenue. They're investing $18 million in new machinery, equipment, and building improvements, and as many as 22 new jobs. So after that acquisition during COVID, they needed to continue to grow and do personal care products for the hygiene and healthcare market. So we were thrilled that they announced that as well. So another great project for High Point. And then just this week, the Carolina Cookie is a long-standing Guilford County company that we all, many of us have received these cookies or given them as gifts. So they have moved over to High Point. We did not, you know, assist them, but they were able to find our sort of territorial assets, a building that was well suited for food, and wanted to move here. And they're on Baker in South High Point. So we're certainly excited about that. And I would encourage you to keep them in your thoughts as we do gift giving as we go into the holidays. Another project that was announced today and a ribbon cutting was held was the Davis Furniture corporate headquarters office. So, you know, the Davis family, certainly longstanding. Ashley Davis Williams was one of our board members, and we were thrilled for them to announce that headquarters building and do a ribbon cutting today. And perhaps we can go for a board meeting once we get back on the road, which that would be our hope to do that. So the other, you know, I wanted to do some kind of programmatic things. I didn't plan a real, you know, I didn't plan any outside speakers for this particular meeting other than all of you guys, since it's our first time really getting back together in person. And I know we all have a lot going on and probably a lot to talk about as we get into the partner reports. But when we had a chance to talk with the Andy Warfield with the Business Journal, I got an opportunity to share about this business park, which we call High Point North. The Griffins used to call it 350 South, but we wanted an EDC to brand it as High Point, and so it is called High Point North. And when I mentioned it to Andy Warfield, he said, I have not heard of that. And I thought, oh, well, we need to talk about this particular location and these sites more. Again, the Griffin family has acquired this property. It is 500 actually plus acres. I mean, look at that premier location there, right in the middle of Greensboro, Winston, right at North High Point and close in proximity to the airport. And if you look at what Amazon has done with the Kernersville facilities and the Colfax last mile facility that is in High Point, all of this land is extremely desirable, and we owe a great deal of thanks to the Griffin family for acquiring it, holding on to it. You see there those price points in the $80,000 to $110,000 an acre. A great value really for a location like this. And we're continuing to see interest, and we believe that this park is really, it's time. The city has done the work and it is zoned PDM, a planned development. So it is ready to go, and we'll look forward to that. If you can scroll down for me just a little bit, Ryan. Yep, you can keep going through that. There are 2 phases that we see. Here's all the analytics that our analysts did for us. Certainly superior location. A little bit more, Ryan. So this is work that we did in partnership with Brent and Greensboro through the Guilford County Economic Development Alliance to look at some of our sites, identify new ones, hopefully, but also to do additional planning work on the sites that we have. And so you see here, this planning work that has gone on, which is that next step as we show sites to clients, is to have that engineered work done, showing what the size of those buildings can be. And here, there's a 600,000 square feet, these 2 lower buildings and then smaller buildings, and then on up all the way to I-40. And we're currently, there are existing companies that are interested in this area, as well as out-of-market companies. So it's a great opportunity for us, and we'll continue to highlight that. There are many other sites in addition to this one. This just happens to be the largest one at this point in time that I wanted to make you aware of. There are additional tracts along Business 85 at Brentwood. We think that that's a great location, can accommodate about 350,000 square feet. And then, of course, the Ponderosa site that the Thayer Coggin family owns, that's a great location as well, very reasonably priced, close to Business 85. So the good news is, when we say no product, no project, is we have product. So we have existing buildings, although there are fewer of them because the market is hot right now. It's the housing market's hot, the office and industrial market is hot. But the good news is we have greenfield sites. And so there's a great opportunity for people to come in when they can get their hand on building components to build these new buildings. So, we still have talent, and we're doing a lot of work to recruit talent here. This is one of the initiatives that we're working on with my friend Brent Christensen to recruit talent, encourage them to come here. We have a site that we'll probably share with you at a future meeting that is livegreensborohighpointnc.com. There's some great information there. We're putting livability, housing information there, just showing the great value using some of our local media technicians, Captivate Media. I was talking with Justin Thomas today. He's done a fabulous job doing work here in High Point and in Greensboro, doing some videos for us to show the value, really, to encourage people, to not only think about working here, but also think about where they would live in our community. So again, great work. It's a wonderful time in economic development. There's huge momentum that is a result not only of the economy, but the investments that the city and all of our elected officials and private individuals have all invested in and supported so well. So that is it for the moment for my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions? It's a very, very thorough report. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, okay, let's go into some of the partner reports, starting with the city of High Point. Now, Randy is here. So I'd like to give us an update. What's going on?
Well, almost nothing. We have a new city manager that will be starting July 19th, Tasha Logan Ford from the city of Winston-Salem. Has been selected, and Tasha's looking forward to coming over, talk to her today. Last night, the city council approved our budget for next year, about a $350 million total budget for the city of High Point. And they made a couple of small changes, but pretty pretty much worked their way through it and approved the budget last night. And then you probably have heard about all these dollars coming from the federal government to the cities. High Point is scheduled to get it somewhere in the neighborhood of a little over 23 million. We are, and like the federal government does sometimes, they appropriated the dollars and now they're trying to determine how we're supposed to spend it. And we have been listening to all kinds of details and have yet to get any firm guidance from the Treasury Department. They're still in the process of putting those together. We'll get those monies in 2 payments, one in probably another 30 days and then one in a year from now. So we have promised the council that we will come back with a plan and some suggestions once we understand the guidance from the federal government on how it's to be spent. With that, I'll turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem Moore if he has anything to add.
Thank you, Randy. I tell you, between Sandy's in-depth descriptions and Randy, don't know that I have a lot to add. It's nice to see the synergy that was felt at the ballpark last night. I think I'm optimistic for High Point. There are some concerns there, but I think all of you that watch the news see the same thing I do. But Randy mentioned the budget, which passed. I was one that tried to pass it in its original form. And so when he says small changes were made, I might disagree with that a little bit. But we did work through it. The budget is planned. We certainly look forward to meeting our new manager, but I never want to let time pass like this with so many people from the city that care so much about the city and do so much for it, that I need to let you know we have a tremendous staff led by Randy. We're extremely fortunate, and they do so much behind the scenes that needs to be appreciated, and I just want him to know I appreciate that. He will be missed dearly, but I guess his retirement's deserved.
Yes.
He guesses. Are you gonna answer the phone, Randy?
Sometimes you shouldn't mic to something.
He's got you on speed dial.
You can say that now. You're free.
Dr. Peters is right down there in the middle of all the new energy. We're certainly excited about all that he's adding down there. You can feel it. Paddle South opened. If you haven't had a chance, please stop by there. And to show you the spirit of High Point, I mean, I've been here my whole life, and there's been many times I could have moved somewhere. But the roots that run in this town are very deep and very rich and ever growing. And so I'm real proud of that. And just as an example of that, Paddle South had a few startup challenges that needed quick attention on that day, last second. They got tremendous support from Plank Street and who was the first one? I'm drawing a blank up besides Sweet Old Bill's.
Brown Truck.
Yeah, Brown Truck. I mean, these folks understand that it's important for the people around them to succeed, and they should be applauded for stepping up and helping. And it was mentioned in a few places in social media. So I thought that was cool. Obviously, High Point University continues to do the extraordinary things that they continue to do. So I think High Point's future is bright, and I'm excited to be a part of it. Thanks.
Thank you, Britt. Thank you, Randy. Appreciate the update. Turn it over to Guilford County folks. James, Michael, Jason, you're welcome to give any updates you'd like.
I'll jump in and see if Commissioner Upchurch has anything to add. Our budget is in the hands of the commissioners right now. And so hopefully June 17th, the board will pass it. And my recommendation included obviously the funding that the county committed to High Point for the economic development grant earlier in the year in the spring. We've overall no property tax increase in the budget, biggest increases for education. And I'm trying not to look at Tony over there, the bigger increases for the Guilford County schools, where we do have more money in there for GTCC, but it's the largest increase in operating funding for Guilford County schools in over 20 years. So county has a real strong commitment for education and using that as an economic development tool for the community. We are at about 54% of the population has at least a partial vaccination for COVID, and around 49% is fully vaccinated. So we have a ways to go. And I know we all have masks off, but just keep in mind that we're still in this, still working through. And I know our public health people, their voice goes up a little bit when I talk about some of the variants that are out there and some of the things. So still be aware that it's out there. We're still working through that, but are appreciative of the ability to actually breathe a little bit and for the community to open. But we're still working hard on that background. Still have a lot of vaccinations available. So your employees, your friends, family, encourage them to get that. They're readily available. And we need to get those numbers up for the community to really be able to fully open and be successful in the long term. One of the things I wanted to show, and I've kind of butchered Jason's map up there, where you did some good identification of the lighter color areas are called qualified census tracts. And Randy mentioned a lot of the American Rescue Plan Act funding that is coming into our community. Guilford County is about $104 million of direct allocation over a 2-year period. So we just received yesterday our first wire for $52 million. But these are the areas both in Greensboro and High Point, so Guilford County overall, where local governments are going to have the most flexibility with these funds. The connection between the negative health and economic impacts in the community are presumed to be pandemic related in these areas. And so in the other areas, we can use funding to help address health impacts and negative economic impacts and some other things, but we have to be really explicit about the connection between the pandemic and the negative outcomes, and then how an intervention is going to influence those. But I put this up here not for anything right now, but for us to begin thinking about what is going on in those areas, what is going on in those census tracts for people who are living there. And so as we think through how we improve health outcomes in all aspects of health, so that's social, economic, education, neighborhood health, housing, most flexibility in those areas. And so while I know, we talk about big companies coming in, but also building the economic capacity of our community and addressing some of those systemic issues that we have both in health and economic outcomes for our low-income communities and the disproportionate impacts the pandemic has had on those communities. We're going to have to address those long-term for the long-term sustainable health of our communities. And so keep that in mind as you go through, and we'll be back in front of you. I know the commissioners are wanting to have some kind of listening tours out in the community to hear from people about what the pandemic's been like in these areas, because that's where I think the federal government intends for most of these dollars to go and to build that long-term resiliency back into these communities. I think that's everything I've got for you there. All right, Commissioner, I think I have one commissioner on the line, Commissioner Upchurch. All right, if he's got anything he wants to add to that.
So Mike covered pretty much everything with the budget, but I just want to thank Sandy and Brent for all the work that they've done over the last few months since I've been on the board. It seems like every meeting we get brought a new economic development project. And so hopefully some of those will come to fruition, but hopefully we'll see more Brent and more Sandy. But I'm excited about the businesses that are coming here, and I look forward to some of those projects coming to fruition over the next few months. So, and thank you for having me. This is the first meeting I've been able to attend, and I look forward to attending ones in the future as well.
Good to have you. Anything else? You good? Okay. Bring it over to Dr. Clark.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll start with since COVID-19 was brought up, I just want to let you know that we've been teaching throughout the pandemic. I think we missed maybe 1 week while we sort of reconfigured things, but we've been teaching face-to-face throughout the pandemic too. our aviation programs aren't allowed to go online. So we've been having classes throughout the entire pandemic. And June 21st, we will be 100% staffing on campus. All right, so that's following the governor's guidance. If you're vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask, but if you're not vaccinated, you will. We strongly encourage that you wear a mask. We're not going to ask people about their vaccination status. It's an honor system. But so June 21st is the date that we will have have all our people back on campus, and we're looking forward to that. Of course, we are doing our summer session, May 12th, we had graduation. We had 2 ceremonies, so we could be socially distanced. And we had about 600 people participate. We had both 2020 graduates as well as 2021 graduates. We opened it up to both classes, and we had people come for that. So that was really great. We are in the midst of our summer session. This week, we started our 8-week session, so 8-week classes. So we're busy with teaching. And as other entities, we have received money from the federal government. The American Rescue Plan, which is the third one, first 3, but the American Rescue Plan, we're going to get 26, or we have received $26 million. $13 million goes directly to students, and $13 million is for institutional purposes. We've gotten a little more guidance, it sounds like, than maybe the other entities have. But some of the things we're doing with that money is we're doing a fee-free summer and fall. So there's no fees for any students. All our students, we're waiving all the fees, and we're going to use the institutional funds to pay for those fees. We're also doing free shipping from the bookstore. So once again, we use institutional funds to pay for that, and we're going to do a textbook discount. I still have to sign that, but I'm intending to do a 10% textbook discount for all students. So once again, using our money to help our students remove barriers for them to come to school. I should also mention that the previous money also did, there's some gear funding that was for continuing education students, that any student that signed up for a continuing education class that has an industry credential can get $750 paid for that. And actually they get $750, whether they use it to pay for it or not, we just give them $750. So that has been really good. The other thing that we're doing with our HERF money is, and this gets a little tricky because it specifically says you cannot use the money to entice students to come to school, but you can only give it to students. So, we're just letting people know that there's grant funds available for students. So if they want to become a student, that's up to them. And the interesting thing is we will give them this money. It'll range anywhere from $125 to $1,000 based upon their enrollment status, part-time, full-time, as well as their income level. And we've been doing that with both the first HERF money, or the first act that I can't remember the name of it, CARES, and then the CRISA money, and now with the ARP money. We've been doing this consistently for all our students. So once they're a student, they will get that grant, and that can be used for any purpose. All right, so just money.
They can use it for anything.
They can use it for anything. Because once again, it's not. We can't tell them to use it for tuition because we can't entice them to come to school. But we can give them the money, and they can use it for childcare, transportation, whatever they need to use it for. So that program is going on, and as I was like to tell our board of trustees, but wait, there's more. All right, so the governor has received your money and has instituted something called the Longleaf Commitment Grant Program, which is for high school graduates this year. They can basically, now this one has to use for tuition and fees. Full-time eligible students can receive anywhere from $700 to $2,800 per year for a total of 2 years. So they can pursue an associate degree at any community college in North Carolina. So we also have that available. So if now's the time to come, all right? Because you will get the Longleaf commitment money. And then once you're a student, you will get your HERF 3 or your American Rescue Plan money. And that is in addition to Pell money. So
That sounded like an enticement. You need to be
well,
careful with that.
no. If you would decide to be a student, but we're not telling you to do that.
Is it on the first pot of money, is there any outcome requirement by the student? Do they have to achieve? Do they have to?
The Longleaf
pass?
commitment or?
No, the first
one.
part, the
No,
13 million.
they just have to be a
Just
student.
give it
So
to
for
them.
us, what we're defining that as is we have something called when a class starts, once you complete so many classes, we count you as a student for our budget and for North Carolina they say, okay, that person's.
So
a
you have to
student.
complete something.
Yeah, you have to stay at least 10% of the course, and then you're a student officially by the state of North Carolina, and that's when we give you your money. Okay, so, so that's what's going on. The walk away from this is that we're using our money to help our students pursue their educational goals, and we're also using it to help students remove barriers. Financial barriers so they can come to school. The other thing that we're allowed to do with this last bit of money is to go back and forgive any student debt from the beginning of the national emergency, which was in March 2020. And if a student has student debt, you're going back to that date, we can pay that debt with the institutional funds and remove that from their account so they can come and continue their education. So once again, it's a good time to be a student, it seems, but even with all that, there's still students that are facing a lot of barriers with childcare, transportation, lost jobs. So, I mean, even with all this money, it sounds like a lot, and it is a lot, but at the same time, a lot of students are still facing a lot of challenges. So we're still working with them to remove as many barriers as we can so they can pursue their education. But just want to let you know that we're working hard, and I'm happy to be here and be part of the whole effort that's going on.
Dr. Clark, just a clarifying question.
Yeah.
Is the money needs-based or merit-based for the student?
For the student, well, the money that the Longleaf commitment is for all students. Now, the amount you get is needs-based.
Okay.
Okay, and then the other money is also needs-based because they want you to give it to people who have exceptional needs. So we decided to use their Pell eligibility, which is basically their income level and their part of full time. So that's how we're meeting exceptional need requirement.
On the forgiveness, are you in a tough spot because you use the word can? We can forgive it.
Yeah.
Is it subjective? Do you guys decide?
No,
to
we are
forgive it
forgiving. We are
for
forgiving
everybody?
yeah.
Back to okay.
Yeah, we can afford to do that. So we're watching the money because we also can use it for lost revenue. So if we actually lose revenue from the state budget, we can go ahead and use that money for that. But we'll see how the state budget comes out. And then also like our bookstore lost revenue because people weren't. So we use this for that. And that's where we're using the shipping and things like that. So yeah,
Great stuff.
there you go.
Yeah,
So
great
we're
stuff.
busy.
I feel not enticed enough to enroll.
Well, we would welcome it.
How much
We
money
welcome
is it?
adult learners. So come and learn. So there you go.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you.
They call that a
Thank you.
side hustle.
Another degree.
Is this the NCAA? Anyway, thank you so much for all that. That's great. Great
I
news.
appreciate that. Sorry.
Chris
to get
is not here.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't believe Chris is on. Tell you what, Ray's here, Ray and Tom. Why don't I go ahead and turn it over to you all.
Okay. Downtown, I mean, for Forward High Point downtown, it has been a busy winter coming into the summer here. The first big project outside the stadium as part of the master developer is moving along now. The food hall building, and you get everybody's looking forward to come in, is going up. That the food hall should open right now. They're shooting for mid-September. Maybe a little before that, but in September, we should open with 10 restaurants inside that. The tenant for the upper floors announced the other day, even though I don't think we were quite ready for that announcement. But as you probably saw in the Business Journal, it looks like Hugh Risk is going to take most of the upper floors of the building. It was interesting. I think that it was in the paper, but I talked to the developer early in the day and the contract hadn't been signed yet. So it's, we're kind of shooting for that to kind of get through. The next project probably that they're going to be doing will be residential. That's what their design work is working on now. We're also now looking at trying to get started with the plaza that'll come from the main gate out to the street that will be adjacent to the food hall. So we're kind of working through that process now. It's going to be a private partnership putting that together. But that'll be kind of an exciting plaza that we can do events in. The design is very High Point centric. There's a lot of features in there, bringing back textiles as well as furniture within that design. and by side, most of you probably have been in Condon Yards and the Plant 7 building that is now open. Their tenants continue to go in. And talking to the Patrick of the week, I think they're almost full right now with tenants that'll fill that building. So they're it's between the food hall building and that building. We're really going to have a nice employment base in downtown again, something we haven't had for many years, which hopefully will then support the residential to come and the restaurants that are coming in. Britt had talked about Paddle South that had opened this past weekend. You get a chance kind of stop in there. We'll say that there's also several others that are looking at High Point right now. So I think we have a good drinking future to come, over the next couple of years. Dr. Peters is under construction with his next building on Main Street. Cranes there and steel's going up. So we'll have some office on the upper floor, and let Lenny correct me if I'm wrong, a commercial space in the first that it's hoping to put a restaurant in there. So that's going to be another great addition, and has some plans for across the street for some residential units. The building, which will probably be the first residential units that we'll have under construction downtown. The big news for us, especially since the building Forward High Point owns, is the First Factors building that IMC donated to us a couple of years ago. You might have saw we actually put that building under contract about 2 weeks ago to CMC Development out of New York, looking at a mixed-use project with combination of commercial and residential, and then a third use of some kind in there. The second and third floor only has windows on one side, so it's limited in a little bit of what we can do with that. But that building, just the renovation building is going to be about $22-23 million. So it's a pretty significant project. They still got to work through a lot of issues, potentially with tax credits on it. We have started the application project to get the building listed on the National Register for historic places. The building is now 50 years old. That will go a long way in helping to finance that project. And then we'll probably be looking at new market credits on it as well to try to make it feasible in our environment. Unfortunately, we're in a position now is where our market rate rents are don't really come in line where construction costs are right now. So it's getting hard to try to fill that gap, and that's really kind of what we're facing across the board. And it's also one of the issues I think that has slowed some of the housing projects down is the skyrocketing of lumber. And if you performed an apartment project a year and a half ago and lumber went up 400%, so it's starting to come down. So I think we'll see some of that starting to come back online. The Children's Museum as well, under construction. I think they're looking to open in the fall, just
October.
So, which will be a magnificent facility. It will be, if not one of the largest children's museums east of the Mississippi. So a pretty spectacular facility for our community. And then also we're starting to kind of look now, Forward High Point has really kind of been economic development driven so far. We're looking now to start getting more into the traditional downtown development role, looking at marketing, special events, safety, security, maintenance, and things. But we do have some special events coming up. Our Rock the Point series, which will start July 17th, will be from there on. There'll be every Saturday there's a baseball game from July 17th to October 2nd. We'll have a concert outside the gate on Gatewood with a live band, inflatables, games, food and drink out there. So you can come out from 4 to 6, enjoy the entertainment. Gates will open at 6 o'clock. Games will start at 7. We have some good bands most of our bands are all kind of local bands, so, which I have to go out. The bands that are playing the local clubs around here, I had to kind of get some help.
You've been hanging out at the
I haven't
clubs?
been in any local clubs.
Oh, wow. I had a job.
That's homework.
We also have a food truck rodeo that'll happen on July 24th on Church Street in Elm. We're going to be doing a new downtown festival in the fall called Paws at the Point. This is a dog-based festival. So you can bring your dog, dress them up. We'll have costume contests. We'll have vets and products for dogs. We'll also have beer and food for anybody who doesn't have the dogs. Yeah.
There's a trend in your report.
And then to carry that one, we're also looking to hold a 2-day Oktoberfest.
We really are gonna have to start an AH.
That'll be outside of the food hall.
Will they have beer there?
That'll be in the food hall. And finally, I'm thinking the date September 18th, but don't hold me to that right now. We are putting on kind of a downtown dine and drink event around downtown. We can come and get a ticket or wristband and go around and visit our pubs and restaurants through downtown and get a sample. So we've gotten it, which is great. I've gotten a good volunteer task force now looking at marketing that is really taking that by the horns. And
Have you decided to call the district around the stadium?
No, we haven't.
Because it sounds like you're labeling it that. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, and one of the things we have just got a proposal to do with branding and marketing, and the city's also involved with that, and we're kind of trying to decide which one comes first right now.
You just
So,
save some money.
Yeah, so I've just been using point since
Yeah,
it's been
it
in the
works.
same. So,
The point.
so we're kind of full in a lot of things with both the economic development projects going on for that development as well as the marketing. We're also starting to really look at safety and maintenance long term. That's probably still another year or so away, but we've been doing some surveying and looking at that, getting proposals for doing that, so that if we start getting people downtown in the evenings to make sure everybody feels safe.
Great. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate it. Tom?
Market starts Saturday, and we're looking forward to welcoming Mike and Jason on Friday. Looking forward to showing you guys around. Mayor Wagner has promised to reach out to our new city manager, try to get her here to see markets, so she doesn't have to wait a whole cycle. So we're looking forward to that. Thank the city council for the approval of our budget. We don't know where we are in the state or the county, but we're hopeful that those budgets will be approved. As far as attendance goes, no international. I mean, you're all aware of the international problems, and that's usually about 10% of our buyers, but we think we'll be down maybe 15% domestic. We're using that against an April 19 market, because that was the last pre-COVID market, which would be a dramatic increase from where we were last October, where we were down 60%. So it's come back. Our goal is to be back to whatever the new normal dictates by April of 2022. So we hope to really kick off October in a very big way and see what we can do to bring everything back. I think the most satisfying for me right now is to see all the cars, see the hotels that are full, see the restaurants that are full. This community has suffered dramatically from the loss of market the last couple of years. And so bringing back that economic impact, albeit less than it was, and it will continue to grow. It's kind of interesting. We've had such a great working relationship with the state and with the county. This mask mandate really caught us a little bit by surprise. You know, we had budgeted to do another health check and all of that. So that allowed us to put some more money into testing our on the ground branding that you may see if you're in the market district. We've got some new signage that will be used for locating the various neighborhoods that are throughout the market district. We hope to have that complete by April of 2022. So a lot of exciting things happening. And as I say, it's just good to see the energy returning, and we hope that it continues to grow and to prosper. If any of you have anybody new that you want to tour or you want to show them the market, let me know. I'm happy to help you out.
Great. Thank you. That's good news.
what's happening. Great. And before we go to closed session, Melody, I want to make sure we recognize you as well. See if you got a few words for us.
Absolutely. Our hotels are starting to recover. Our latest STAR report says that our hotels are at 65% occupancy, and that's as our latest report as of April. I'm sure what contributes to that was a really strong pre-market. Just to give you some comparisons, April of 2019, we're at 64%. So we are on the road to recovery. We love seeing all the excitement at Truist Point Stadium. Soccer is the new buzzword around town. We had some entertainment with NC Fusion. We had our first match in, I think, about 2 weeks ago, and they'll be having another one in June and July as well. And then on top of that, Drive High Point made some investments to Truist Point. In order to flip the field from baseball to soccer, we invested in some equipment to put the lines down and to erase those quickly, as well as some goals. So you'll be able to see that when NC Fusion played the other night. All of the great activity that Ray discussed in his report is just music to our ears. We've really challenged our industry partners to really flood the events calendar for the 14 weeks of summer, really starting with that first Rockers game, leading through our first John Coltrane Labor Day event happening September 4th through the 5th. So we're really challenging our partners to make sure that they're sharing on social media, flooding that events calendar, making sure to put those promotions out there. We're also really active pitching stories to our local media, Tribe Business Journal, Business NC, even Our State Magazine, WFDD. We have about 8 tourism related stories that involved our new assets. So just to get some media play out of that before we then start soliciting travel writers and influencers. We're also working with Eat, Drink, Triad to do some culinary stories. There will be a High Point feature that'll launch mid-June that will feature the Blue properties, Blue Water Grill, Blue Rock Pizza, Lulu and Blue, as well as Uncle Cheesecake, Stock and Grain Assembly, and of course, South, just to get some of those new assets in as well. And, you know, the hits just keep continuing, but we're just, you know, really excited to work with EDC on their talent acquisition website. It's been really fun working with the Guilford County EDA team and our local realtors, as well as the influencers that are impacted with that project as well.
Thank you for that. So I guess we can go to the closed session unless anyone has any final comments before we go to the closed session. Okay. With that, we can go into closed session